Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Africans, as usual it is Young Pan-Africans, John Dominic. Today I appear before you to talk about the several reasons why Africa must unite. Africa must unite. Power without unity is nothing. We have many leaders in Africa who were capable, who tried their best, but they failed because of lack of unity in Africa. We had many leaders who had great ideas and visions of uniting Africans, but they failed because of lack of support from their fellow leaders of Africa. We had many leaders who had great ideas of shaping Africa, but they failed because of lack of unity. Africa must unite. Africa must unite for several reasons. Now in current Africa, we have several problems that are facing our continent because of divisionism. What is causing divisionism in Africa? It's because of lack of unity. Now, currently, many states of Africa depending on Western countries because we don't have a strong African Union, because we don't have the strong African market, because we don't have a strong African leadership. Unity is the foundation of our prosperity as Africans. Who could lose when we have a great, strong African Union? Who could lose when we have a strong African unit or African states? Now, in Africa, we have many minerals, we have many natural resources, but because of lack of unity, other people come and exploit what we have and use that material. Then, and after all, they come to export again that material in Africa, and we buy that material on the high price, which is the material of our land of Africa. Africa must unite for several reasons. Who could lose? Who could fail? What could be the causes of wars in Africa when we have United States of Africa? How could we use the American currency as the known currency in the market of Africa? Right now, when you go to Tanzania, you have to use American currency, dollars, in market. When you go to Djibouti, when you go to Botswana, when you go to Malawi, they will not recognize Ugandan shillings. But when you go there with dollars, they will welcome you as a king, as a smart person. Why? Because of lack of unity. That's why we are using other people's currency. What could be the causes of wars in Africa when we have United States of Africa? You see the situation which is in Sudan. People are losing their properties in Khartoum. People are no longer in their properties because of lack of unity in Africa. How can you convince me that African leaders, 54 states, 55, we fail to solve the problems that are facing Sudanese, our brothers, now? How can you convince me that all those 54 or 55 countries are an African Union, Eastern SADC, East African Community? We failed to unite these countries. We failed to reconcile. What caused that? On my view, I see that because of the self-interest that everyone has, because of dirty mind, because of selfishness. That's why we are facing many problems in Africa. That's why our people are dying. always feel sad when I see some Africans youth who has no zeal, who has no idea of serving their countries. The reason why many youth now, they have no interest in their continent, they want to go abroad. They are losing their life, they are risking their life to pass in water, to go to work, to be the slave in Europe and America. It's because of lack of unity in Africa. Why do you think that Africa can develop in this crisis? You see in Congo, we have the case of Congo, wars, which is taking place because of lack of unity. That's why people are killing each other. Which formula should we give the war which is taking place in Congo? Misunderstanding, struggle of power, ethnic, tribalism. It's the major causes of the wars that are taking place in Africa. Where I see you from Cameroon, if I'm a Ugandan, if I'm a Kenyan, I can't recognize you as African if you're from Egypt. Now, there is many agreements that were signed in African Union, in East African Union, community I mean, but up to now, there's no implementation. Why? We lack leaders who can bring into the reality what people desire or what citizens think that is right to them. Who could lose when we have African unity? How could we fail in the African market when we have unity in Africa? Now, the reason why we don't have a strong African market or trade is lack of unity. Our countries are not agreeing. There's no treaty in African countries. There's no agreement, signed agreement, which is implemented because of lack of unity. In Africa, we have everything that we need. In Africa, we have natural resources. We have minerals. We have oil. We have gold. We have cobalt. But now, all our minerals are exploited, are taken. And after all, they go and they manufacture, then after export those materials in our continent. And they buy them on high price. Who could lose? How could we fail to develop? How could we fail to initiate? How could we fail to manufacture our own? We have no capacity of doing that because of lack of unity. Otherwise, we could have developed our continent. We have many leaders in Africa who had great visions to develop Africa, but they killed them as insects. No one defended them. And yet we had African unity. United, I mean. But many leaders in Africa, they died as insects. We have many great leaders in Africa who tried to unite Africa, but they were killed by their fellow Africans. Who killed Thomas Sankara? Who killed Gaddafi? How did Lumumba die? Who killed him? Ourselves. This is right time, Africans, to stand and unite Africa. Many youth are not engaged in African activities, in leadership. It is only in Africa where you find someone has served for more than 40 years, 50 years, to 30 years, but still, he don't want to leave power. Who could lose when we have unity in Africa? I assure you that where there is unity, everything is possible. We lack unity in Africa as our pillar to shape our continent. And I assure you that if we don't have unity in Africa, our leaders, current leaders, you will leave nothing. And the coming generation will learn nothing and forget nothing about you. Who could lose when we have unity in Africa? Africa must unite for solving problems in Africa. Africa must unite to shape our economy. Africa must unite to leave the strong legacy in Africa. In Africa, we have constitution. I think even some constitutions are under the bed because we don't revise them. We don't follow what articles say. How can someone serve 4 regimes? In Africa, we need unity as the key of our development. Africa is locked by Africans ourselves. There is nothing we can blame these Westerners, because when there is no good leader in your family, it is possible for enemy to come from China, from India, from Europe, from Russia, America, to come and utilize our resources, because we have no values. We have no our own beliefs as Africans. We have many kids who are on the street, and then we say that we have our leaders. Our leaders are working. Our leaders. Then how could we have many people are dying because of lack of facilities in hospitals? Corruption. When you don't corrupt in Africa, they call you a fool man. But when you corrupt in Africa, you become celebrity. We lack unity in Africa. Africa must unite.